Hey everybody, welcome back to Garage Gear. I'm JB, and today we are working on an oil change on this 2017 Jeep Wrangler Sport Unlimited. We got some work to do on this one, ladies and gentlemen. This is my wife's vehicle. We got to get this one right. Let's get started. For our first step, we're going to pop the hood. Our next step is going to be popping off our engine cover. It should just pop right off and slide right out. So here we have our engine oil cap. Here we have our oil filter, which is located on the top of the engine. Who knew? And then you have your oil dipstick over here. Let's talk about exactly what you're gonna need to get this job done. I got my oil tank in order to catch all my oil that drips out of the Jeep. I have my big funnel. I have a plastic bag to put all my paper towels in. I have my cod bod down underneath the car right there. That'll catch all the oil that spills out. I have my trusty Pittsburgh 225-piece socket set ready to go. I'll have links for all these items down below in the description. Then over here, I got some latex gloves if I'll need them. I got some paper towels. I have a pick here to pull off the oil filter gasket in case I need it. And now let's talk about the cheapest oil change possible. This is SuperTech Full Synthetic 5W20. You will need 6 quarts to get this job done, ladies and gentlemen. This is a quality oil. It meets all the API and SN standards. This is good stuff. And here we have our oil filter. It is ST11665 and includes our gasket. So there you go. There's the proof, ladies and gentlemen, right there. Add those numbers up. You get $22.47, the cheapest oil change for full synthetic oil for a Jeep. Now, if I were to take this Jeep to a dealership, they're gonna charge me about $75 to change the oil on this thing. And to me, that just doesn't fly. I can do this myself for $22. Not too bad. If you change your engine oil every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, you should definitely not be having any issues with your engine. I've had vehicles over the years with over 100,000 miles, and ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, they did just fine because I regularly changed the oil on them. Consistent maintenance is key. Also, this Jeep is getting traded in about 6 months to a year. So, do I want to invest a ton of money on an oil change? Heck no. So, a cheap oil change for this thing at this point is totally fine by me. All right, so we have our 1/2-inch socket. We're gonna loosen this bad boy up. And have some paper towels ready because it will shoot out. Boom, you just yank it right out. There it is, right in the tank. Good idea too to get the old oil off your plug and set that aside. Now I'm gonna let that drip for about 15, maybe 20 minutes, and that should do. So now what we gotta do is remove our oil filter. And what I'm gonna use is a 24mm socket with an extension because I don't wanna whack anything here on the engine. Let's get this thing loosened up. There we go. Now, because of where this thing is located, it is a smart idea to get some paper towels all up and around where this oil filter is going to come out of. Right here, I have my alternator, so I don't want to drop any oil onto that. So I'm going to cover that up completely. And then from there, I have a container. So as soon as I pull this filter out, it's going right inside here. Perfect. So changing these out is super easy. These do kind of snap in there, so you do have to give them a good solid yank to get them out, but there you go. Okay, so that's the old filter. Not a lot of garbage sitting in that pan. I'm just gonna wipe this out really quick and then install the new one. So now I've wiped out the inside here. My filter's out, and what I'm gonna do is use my pick here. You can use a screwdriver probably. Getting this off with your fingers might be tricky because it's covered in oil. So I'm just gonna kind of work it around and pull it off just like that. So that's our old seal. We're gonna throw this away. Now we got our new seal. So I'm gonna wrap this guy around, and it's gonna go right inside this wide slot here, right where it belongs, right there. I'm not gonna put it on these threads. There is a channel that this should sit in, so you just want to get it into that channel. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my old oil filter box, and notice there's nothing inside here, and I'm gonna take the old oil filter and stick that in. This way, when I dispose of it, it's gonna drip oil first into this box, then into the bag, and hopefully not into my garbage can that way. So it's a smart disposal idea. Then, what I'm gonna do is take my oil here, and I'm just gonna dunk my finger inside, and I'm gonna work some oil around this new gasket. What I found to work pretty well too is get some oil on the threads. This way it goes in easier, and there's no shame in putting a lot of oil on this. That'll do. So now what we're gonna do is reinstall the new filter, and this just kind of pops right on, just like that. So now you can see I have my oil filter port right there. I'm gonna take my new filter, and it kind of hangs on because it's snapped in, and then I'm just gonna twist it right in, and I can kind of move these paper towels out of the way. It went in safely. I'm gonna do this by hand. Okay, now it's time for the socket. Again, I'm gonna use my 24mm, twist it in. Again, don't forget to lubricate that gasket or else you'll have a lot of trouble getting this thing out. There we go. And I'll put torque specs down below. Okay, so this oil has now been draining for about 20 minutes. I'm gonna wipe off any excess that's still dripping. And usually a good rule of thumb is if you can count about 5 seconds between the drops, you probably got most of it out. At this point, I'm gonna take my plug. We're gonna insert it back in. We got our plug back in. It's no longer dripping or draining. I'm gonna take our 1/2-inch socket and snug it down, just like that. That's it, and we'll get the torque specs down below. At this point, we're gonna get our oil cap out of the way. I'm gonna clean that bad boy off too. I'm gonna take our oil funnel, stick that in. So at this point, I'm now gonna pour in my engine oil, and I'm gonna pour in the big jug first. Remember, we need 6 quarts of oil to fill this up. I'm gonna get every last drop out. Now I'm gonna save this empty jug for the old oil so I can recycle it. Now we're gonna take our last quart and pour this in. You know what, I'll tell you, this funnel stays in the perfect upright position because of these hoses here holding it in place. I'm gonna pour this whole thing in. Now from here, I'm gonna take my funnel and wipe this off. We'll reinstall the cap. Now what we're gonna do is reinsert our cover, and what we have to aim for are these 2 little plastic clips back here. They're kind of round in shape, and there are 2 ends that have to link up. And then it's gonna drop down right on this guy right here. Just like that, she's on. Okay guys, I'm gonna show you how to reset the gauges on your dash to get the correct oil setting here. And what I'm gonna be using is this keypad on the left side of the steering wheel. And from here, I'm gonna take my key, I'm gonna put it in, I'm gonna turn it to the point where it's on run but not started. So I'm gonna turn it all the way, and if you need to indicate that to yourself, you could turn on the air conditioning. When the air conditioning kind of clicks on, you'll know. From here, I'm gonna click menu until I get to where it says vehicle info. Once I got vehicle info, I click down, and I'm gonna wait until, there it is, oil life 29%, and then I pump the pedal 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and then turn it off. You can see it reset it to 100, and then when I back off and go to start the vehicle up again, and I'll just double check things here to make sure I got it. Again, I'm gonna go to oil life, and again, it is still at 100%. So we are ready to go with our dash. Well, that about wraps it up for this oil change on this Jeep Wrangler Sport Unlimited. Please make sure that you check your manual before starting this on your model, because I have heard that some models differ in terms of types of oil that they use, as well as the torque specs. So make sure you check that in your manual before you get down to business with this. If you found this video helpful, you know what to do. I got a ton of videos coming your way, so stay tuned to this channel by subscribing down below. Thanks again for tuning into Garage Gear, and I'll see you in the garage.